Yeah, I finally got around to watching Aquaman and Shazam. Um, I think the reason why I didn't watch them initially was because I honestly think Justice League just kind of broke me. Um, it just, I just wasn't interested in anything DC after Aquaman. I mean, not Aquaman, after Justice League. But recently, I decided to just buckle down and watch them. Yeah, I'm gonna review them both in this one video since they've been out a while. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't watched them or if you care. Yeah, so I guess I'll do Aquaman first since it came out first. It was pretty good. I don't know if I want to say it was good, but it was enjoyable. I genuinely enjoyed watching it. Um, the story is not great or anything. The characters aren't particularly great, but I don't know. Like it's just a fine, okay movie to watch. It's fun. I will say that it is definitely fun. So the story is just Arthur. His mom was a fish lady from Atlantis, and he made a baby with his dad, who's a regular human, and he grows up like kind of knowing about where he came from, but not really though. And anyways, now his half brother is going to he wants to wage war upon man's world and man's world is like a Wonder Woman thing. He just wants to wage war upon the human race because they're polluting the oceans or whatever. And Aquaman must stop him because some humans aren't assholes, I guess. And yeah, so that's like the basic premise of the movie. And I'll say this: it's like way too long. Like they could have shaved a bunch of this movie off, but like I don't know. There's just a lot of movie in it. And I mean, I say it's long, but to be honest, like I was never like bored. I guess because one thing about this movie is that there's a lot of like pretty cool CGI and action and special effects. Like they went all out with this movie. So it kind of makes up for a lot of like the narrative weaknesses of the film because like I really love the world that this movie sets up. I really like all the underwater like kingdoms that they show off. They show off like three of them, I think. Yeah, I want to say they show off like three underwater kingdoms, and they all look pretty cool. Like Atlantis is kind of it's kind of like a Wakandan, like a Wakanda, where it's like this civilization that nobody knew about, and they're really technologically advanced. Yeah, it's a very visually interesting movie. There's some pretty decent action in the movie. There's a lot of like really like I don't know. It's kind of weird in the way that like what's the guy James Wan, I think. Yeah, he directed the movie. He likes these like really like wide angle lenses. Like he uses that a lot in his actions, which is kind of weird, but it kind of works. Like I do like the fact that a lot of the action sequences are also like really long takes, which I appreciate. I generally appreciate long take action sequences. It's that I don't know. I just really appreciate that in a movie, and there's a lot of them in here. Like the fight choreography is all pretty decent. I really like the underwater fighting. They do a lot of interesting things with that where it's like it's underwater, so there are just a lot of neat things that they do, like with like being able to swim and fighting. Like like there's like this one bit where I think Orm is like knocked down and he almost goes into lava, but he's able to like I guess like will himself to not go in because he's underwater, and it's like it just made for like interesting like physics that worked well into action. Yeah, there's like this like really big war like battle in at the end of the movie, and that was like genuinely pretty awesome. It's like a Star Wars. It's like a Lord of I don't know. It's weird. It's like a fantasy battle mixed with like a Star Wars space battle, like spaceship battle. That's like mixed into one. It was very weird, but really interesting and really cool. And yeah, like that's the thing with this movie is that it's not a very good movie, I would say. Like I didn't really care about any of the characters or like any of the emotional stuff that was going on. Like Jason Momoa and Amber Heard had like almost no chemistry. I was kind of getting into their relationship by the end of it, but for the most part, I was like, these guys aren't very like these guys just aren't very like neither of them are all that charismatic necessarily, and together, like I just don't necessarily care about them all that much. And yeah, like it's like I don't know. It's like the movie. It's from a narrative perspective. It's not the best, but there's enough in here that kept me interested and intrigued, and I could at least go, ooh, these effects are pretty good. I like that. So yeah, Aquaman. Not a great movie, but pretty decent. You know, like the villains are they're all right. Like Black Manta, he's like he's kind of I don't know. The villains are like if you took what's his name, the fucking Michael B. Jordan's character from I think his name was Killmonger. It's like you take the fact that he wanted revenge and you just put that into one character, and that's Black Manta. Then you take the part of him where he wanted to like go to war with people because they're like wronging his race, but in this case like they're wronging Orm's like Atlantean race, and I guess sea creatures just in general. Like it's like if they took like half of the things, like all the things that made Killmonger a really good interesting villain, but they like cut it in half and divided all those motivations and put them into two people. It's like I feel like if you would have put that into one person, that actually would have made like an interesting villain. But it's weird how they kind of like divided these motivations and put them into two different people. So like neither of them are particularly interesting enough. But yeah, so like the villains, I guess combined are kind of interesting, but when you just look at each of them individually, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever. I get it. You're mad because Aquaman killed your dad, or he refused to save your dad. And yeah, I don't know. This movie is like a lot of different movies combined into one, but not really as good as any of those movies. Yeah, it's an interesting movie that I think if you haven't seen it and you're watching this review, you might as well check it out, because I think there's enough interesting stuff in there. And like apparently they're making a spin-off movie off of The Trench, because so there's a scene where they go into like where they have to go to like this island, right? And they have to fly over this body of water called the Trench, where these like sea creatures live. And this part was actually like weirdly violent, where like they are just destroying these trench monsters and killing them in the most brutal ways like that are possible that you could possibly think of. It's like it's really weird how the movie just got really brutal for a second. And like apparently they're making a horror movie out of these trench creatures, and it's like I remember when I initially heard of it, I was like, wait, why? But watching it, I actually can kind of see where that could go. Like imagine a movie where there's like a cruise ship and it like flies near the trench, and like maybe like one of the trench monsters boards that cruise ship, and the people on that cruise ship have to survive being on a ship with one of the trench monsters. Something like that could actually be kind of interesting. So I will say this movie it surprised me. Like it wasn't particularly great or anything, but it was good enough. And hey, would you look at that? Now I'm mildly interested in the possibility of there maybe being a movie about the trench. Well, would you look at that? You learn something new every day. Yeah, so that was Aquaman. It's all right. If you haven't seen it, I'd say check it out, but you don't really need to. So yeah, moving on to Shazam. I really like this movie. Like, really like this movie. Like, genuinely, I think this is a genuinely good movie, which is something that the DCEU needed. Yeah, Shazam. It's like I think what I love the most about this movie is it's kind of the opposite of Aquaman, where in Aquaman I didn't really care about any of the characters or the story that they were trying to tell, and I just kind of liked the visual aspects of Aquaman. Shazam, there's nothing particularly great about the visual aspects of this movie, but it's all about the characters, it's all about the story, and it's all about the themes that they're setting, and it's really, really solid. So the movie follows Billy Batson, who gets called upon by this wizard who grants him superpowers, and Shazam is now he's a kid. Billy Batson is a kid, and he's now a superhero, and he kind of has to deal with that. And he's also an orphan. He's running away from all his orphanages because he wants to find his real mom. And yeah, like all of that was really cool. Like I like how small this movie felt. Like it really just revolves around this one kid, and the heart of the movie is between Billy Batson and Freddy, the kid who's crippled, and their relationship that develops throughout the movie, because Billy gets sent to this foster home that's sort of it's like his last chance, I guess, because he's been running away from so many other foster homes. He gets sent to this foster home, and it's like his last chance, and he develops a relationship with Freddy, and Freddy is like really interested in superheroes, so he kind of guides Billy on his path to become a hero. And yeah, like this movie was really great because it's like I really like the characters. I like the characters Billy and Freddy. They're the heart of the story, and it's small. It's not like a world ending, like there's not like this world ending plot, or well, I guess it is kind of world ending. I don't think the villain necessarily wanted to destroy the world or anything like that. But yeah, like it's not this like really like impending like world ending threat. It's just this small story of Billy and his friend like going through this weird situation, I guess. And like this movie was, first of all, it's actually really funny, which the DCEU has not been successful in doing. It's also like pretty smart. Like it sort of satirizes a lot of superhero tropes that I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like annoying or anything. Like I actually thought it was pretty enjoyable. I also like that like they actually felt like kids. Like Billy and Freddy, they felt like actual kids. And Zachary Levi did a great job. He was like the perfect casting for this. He genuinely feels like Billy. Like he feels like a child, in the way that he acts, and that was really impressive because, like, whenever they turned into Shazam, it never felt like that. Like this was a different character. It always felt like, hey, it is Billy, but he's transformed into his superpowers, into his superpowered form. Yeah, so. I will say if I had to nitpick it a little bit, a lot of the other foster kids, they don't really spend much time on them. Like they're just kind of brushed off to the side. Like it's like they show them a little bit at the beginning, they sprinkle them in throughout, and yeah, I will say like the final like battle sequence, like when they all get powers. Because they didn't really do much with them throughout the movie, like when they all get powers, it doesn't really feel quite as deserved as like Freddy getting powers. That actually, like, I was actually like happy for him because he's like he has this fascination with superheroes, and he's crippled, and like the movie actually like made me care enough about him to the point that when you see him get powers, it's like, oh, that's cool, it's great. But like when all the other foster kids get powers, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm happy for you. But yeah, like I guess I wish they would have spent a little more time with the foster kids and making you care more about them. But yeah, I mean that's just kind of a nitpick. Yeah, like in terms of the action, I guess if I'm gonna nitpick some more, the action again, it's not particularly anything special. Like some of it just kind of felt like Man of Steel, but yeah, and again, there's not really a ton of it. Like I like how kind of almost indie the movie feels because there's not a ton of action. Like there are a lot of scenes where like Billy is just he's Shazam, but he's just kind of like walking into like gas stations and just walking down the street like taking pictures with people and stuff, and it just like it doesn't feel like oh, this is a superhero movie, blah blah blah, look, we're flying through buildings and stuff. Like there's some of that, but most of the movie it was actually reminded me, it was a lot more like Spider-Man Homecoming. Like a lot of the scenes in Spider-Man Homecoming where you see Spider-Man just like interacting with normal people, like that was just pretty much this movie where he's just kind of interacting with normal people. But I like that. I like that about it. Like I don't want every superhero movie to be this, like oh my god, the world's ending. We're flying through buildings and we're punching people. We're all indestructible. Like I don't need every movie to be that. And yeah, like, again, like there is some of that in this movie, but it's not a ton. Like most of it is, like I said before, very character driven. Like very story focused. They're focused on telling their stories and developing these characters. And it's good. So I really like Shazam. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Aquaman and Shazam. I will say, DC's kind of getting back on track. Again, like Aquaman didn't make me want to, just say fuck it and end it all. And that's an accomplishment in my book. Yeah, so like Aquaman, not great, but it was good, and then Shazam was actually great. So I think what I appreciate the most about these movies are that they feel like a director's singular vision. Like they feel like Warner Brothers just met with these directors. The directors gave their pitch, and Warner Brothers was like, okay, yeah, go do. We like what you're offering. Go do that movie. Like, movies like Justice League and Suicide Squad, they were just like these, just awful Frankenstein's monsters, like just creations that like just did not feel like a director directed it. It just feels like a bunch of people in boardrooms gave ideas. Like Justice League, it's like some of it was Zack Snyder, some of it was Joss Whedon. It's just like these are just absolute disasters in terms of quality. Like Justice League just really just made me not care anymore about the DCEU. And Aquaman and Shazam, they have just given me hope again for the DCEU. And yeah, like I'm actually excited for more DC movies. Like hopefully, maybe if they want to do Justice League, like properly build up to it. Don't like, yeah, like I mean, I don't know. I actually kind of want to make a video about this, like what went wrong with the DCEU, but I think at the end of the day, what these movies do that a lot of the other DC movies didn't do were that they didn't focus on being like good movies. They kind of just focused on setting up other movies, and they didn't like really focus on, hey, this is the movie that we're making, let's make this good. And obviously a lot of the problems were that, like I said before, like studio interference was rampant. It didn't like feel like a director's singular vision being brought onto screen. So yeah, I actually want to make a separate video really discussing that and going in depth on that. But yeah, these movies, just appreciate the fact that it felt like James Wan got to make his Aquaman movie, and whoever the director was for Shazam got to make his movie, which was great. And yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for this video. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, check out the gaming channel. I'm gonna be posting an Arkham City Let's Play soon, so please, if you're interested in that at all, please go subscribe to the gaming channel, subscribe to this channel, hit like, comment, do all the things that YouTubers tell you to do at the end of their YouTube videos, and yeah, bye.